I can say about being a black farmer in America, I can sum it up in one word: hard. We in the hole from the door.
First time my dad went to get a loan, he said the guy's name was Likens or something like that. Put the application in the trash. And then he went back 3 months later, and the guy says, well, most of the time they never come back. But he says, you're persistent, so he went ahead and filled out his loan. So when I went to get my first loan, I had the same problem also.
Don't get me wrong, for me, I'm probably not 10 years behind, but for others that's not as fortunate as me, it's still 10 years behind. And we trying to close the gap.
We are fortunate enough here at BASF in the Sustainability Center to have a conversation with the National Black Growers Council, one of the first that we've been able to do here. And this really is an opportunity to learn about the Black grower lived experience in America, how we can better support these growers in their operations, and to understand what our role is in sustaining their overall growth, sustaining that community, and how we can leverage our brand to help them do the biggest job on earth. This conversation is a long overdue conversation. Growers only make up about less than 5%, maybe even 2% of all row crop growers in America. And we have a clear opportunity here to understand how we can support the development and sustainability of this community. But on top of that, it speaks bigger to what we do at BASF, not just our chemistry and our products, but also, our morals and core values in helping the community of agriculture. This is a community that's often left out, and we need to have that conversation here to understand the experience that they've had and how we can shape that experience moving forward.
This is an opportunity to change the narrative, to pave the way for more Black farmers to get into agriculture. It's personal because my grandparents were growers. All I remember growing up is my grandfather cracking open a watermelon out of his garden. They had lemon trees and grapevines and all kind of fruit trees lining their driveway. This is how I grew up. It's important to me because I saw it. I know how farming and growing food can feed a family, friends. So looking at it from that perspective, it hits home for me.
The truth is that minorities don't typically have this type of platform. And it's important to see the largest chemical company on the globe give them a platform and actually listen. This is not just an untapped pool for connections, it's an untapped pool for revenue in our country, and it should not be overlooked. BASF is not overlooking that, and they're listening. So it's very important for everyone to be at the table if we are going to have a sustainable future in agriculture.
We don't know about a lot of new innovations coming out because we don't get that on our farm. It's going to get tried on everyone else's farm before it comes to our farm. So
that's the opportunity.
Yes. So if we get that opportunity to have to get that new technology, to see how it works personally, hands-on, I would be very excited about that. I would like to try y'all a new product on my farm before someone else, or instead of hearing about it from someone else. But then you want me to buy it, but I didn't try it.
Well, we got some new launches coming up. I won't speak on them, but I know some of the people are in the room, so we got some new launches coming up for sure.
Yeah, so that would be a big help for the whole MVGC. We could share the information. It could be on Mr. Button Farm, Patrick, Dexter, Bill. It don't matter as long as it's on someone. We would like to be the head.
We want the same opportunity as the next farmer. Even though he's growing a lot more acres than we are, we need the opportunity. It don't have to go on every black farm, but just one like that if we can go and look at. Because I'm going to take advice from somebody my color more so than I am from somebody that's not my color that's farming. Because what grows on his farm might not grow on my farm, but if Nelson tells me it's growing on his farm, I'm going to believe him more so than the guy tells me that, oh, it's no good. I wouldn't do that, even though he might be using it all on his farm.
I think inclusiveness
Inclusivity.
Yes, and you know, it's the history also. You know, it's a history of discrimination, racism. So I'm gonna go with somebody I believe will have the best interest in me.
Having this conversation on Juneteenth really just solidifies our history and our presence in the United States. If we think about Juneteenth and it really being the real and true end to slavery in America, where Union soldiers made their way to Galveston, Texas, and we think about how and why we came to America, was really around agriculture and being slaves in fields and whatnot. So to have this conversation on Juneteenth, I think is symbolic of our history and the context of us being in America, but then also our responsibility and our opportunity to really shape the future as well, not just for agriculture, but part of the larger conversation that's happening in our country around race relations and the role that corporate America, that businesses, products play and brands play in that conversation.
So Juneteenth, you know, represents a day of focused freedom in my mind, which then suggests that it's about equity. And so it's important to have conversations as that check-in on days like this to ensure that we are delivering on that promise of what equality and equity should mean in this industry and beyond.
So the celebration itself is about individuals not knowing that they were free. And in agriculture, there's so many connections that minority growers don't know that they have. And so it was an imperative to have the conversation in or around this holiday. And there's a direct tie to freedom of information. Today, the Black growers that were here were able to unearth some of that information. And BASF was part of the solution and part of helping them do the biggest job on earth.
I'd like to hear from you all, or I think everyone here would like to hear and understand, how could legislation possibly improve and support you all to do the biggest job on earth? Like, what kind of legislation would be, there's always room for opportunity, but legislation in general, I think, is a big opportunity. So what things would you like to see the government support you all on?
It was basically, it's a lot of stories. We could go down through them, but all of them gonna come back to the same. But one thing that I can say, they can make it more digital, where they can't take out the, when I go in and do an application, one time I went in and did an application, signed this date, well, we couldn't get to you, so I'm gonna just, to keep you from having to do the re-whole application, I'm gonna just take this page out that you signed, and you signed this date. Instead of being 3 months, I mean, now it looked like on paper that it only took them a month to fund the loan, when it actually was over 3 months to fund the loan. So that's one way I would like to see it, is keep a paper trace so they can be held more accountable for their actions.
Fearless leader, PJ, was telling the story that when he went for his first time loan, the loan officer had a gun in his desk and pulled a gun out and told him, "You need to go back to school. You don't need to be farming." And so he wound up, he finally got the loan, but then the guy, they gave him early retirement. But my guy didn't do me like that. He just had my dad to come in to co-sign for me. I didn't think it was right, because if she's going for a first-time loan through the USDA, I should have been qualified from the start.
You want to get your loan just as quick as the whites or whatever get their loan. They gonna get theirs first, and then behind that, just say they get theirs in February, we get ours in May. I mean, man, I'm behind. You know, I'm number one. I already lost before I even got out the gate. You know what I'm saying? and that's one thing that I want the legislature, to change. I mean, all of us is equal.
At BASF, we have a saying, and it reminds us that we all belong to something bigger. There was a conversation today, and that conversation reminds us who's part of the bigger that we represent. This discussion is one that's also a check-in from my perspective, meaning, are we on the right track? Are we doing the types of things as an organization that stands for societal good as well, as we continue to create impact in the agricultural industry? We truly believe that we are helping to enable the biggest job on earth. And so how can we do that if we don't check in with the people who are doing that job? And so talking with the National Black Growers Council really is a way for us to know, are we doing good? And definitively, are we doing good enough? I think what we learned today is that we've done quite a bit, but we can continue to support in differentiated ways too. And that's what we're gonna look at as we move forward.
I hope people leave with a new perspective, on connecting with Black growers. And I don't know that it's entirely different from any other grower. However, I do know that many people in the business have told me outright that they don't know how to connect. So I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. So I hope people leave with that notion, as well as opportunities for these growers. A couple of them do sustainable farming. They're looking to grow. So I hope this brings a wealth of opportunities for not just them, but people looking to get into agriculture.
It's important to let guys know that there are successful Black row crop farmers. Juneteenth has shown us that our resilience, even though the discrimination tactics, all that went along, that we still survived and we still here.
Do something to where us Black growers can get chemicals on time, and then they can send someone out to, it don't have to be me. It could be another Black farmer or some farmer in our organization for to see what works. Everything is not the same. Everything is not gonna work on everybody's farm. It's got to be something different.
Where do we go from here? We just strive to be better stewards of the land. We strive that whatever we're doing to be more profitable, and we trust that the companies that we visit will help us.
The first step was just sitting down and having an open dialogue around this issue of systemic inequality in agriculture. That happened today, and it's a step forward.